So there are a million things I could talk about regarding a show like Better Call Saul. Its amazing use of montages, the gorgeous cinematography, the astute attention to detail, or even the creator's phenomenal writing that fills each and every one of these characters with so much that there could be an entire show dedicated to each of them. Case in point, Saul Goodman. He was originally just a flashy, bombastic side character that had quickly become a fan favorite in Breaking Bad. But due to the compelling writing around the character and the amazing performance by Bob Odenkirk, the creators felt confident enough to take him on and create a full new show around him.
Is Saul Goodman Jimmy McGill's true nature?
And thank God they did, because it gave us Saul Goodman. This is a character that we fell in love with in Breaking Bad, but as we know, he wasn't always Saul Goodman. In fact, at the beginning of the show, we come to know him as Jimmy McGill, an underachieving brother with a knack for finding the shortcut in everything and having a loose relationship with the law. When did this transformation happen? When was the moment Jimmy McGill broke bad? Well, never. Okay, well, if you actually want an answer, I guess it would have to be this. What I'm trying to say here is that Jimmy was always Saul Goodman. The Jimmy McGill you see is nothing more than a facade that masquerades Slippin Jimmy's true existence as Saul Goodman. And I know what you're probably thinking, that's a bold statement. You're saying that there's no character progression, there's no arc, and there's no character development throughout the whole show? Well, yes. And no. You see, I don't think it's as simple as that. Saul Goodman is a very complex character. Complexity that stems back all the way to his childhood days.
How's that sweeping going?
Going good, Pop.
As we know, Jimmy has always been quick to cut corners and do things his own way. As a kid and teenager, he earned his nickname Slippin Jimmy for his deliberate and deceiving scams that he pulled on innocent and naive people. People like his father. You know, most kids tend to look up to their fathers, but not Jimmy. In fact, you could make the case that Jimmy was ashamed of his father and his naive persona.
Dad, his story's baloney. He probably doesn't even have a son. He's conning you.
There are wolves and sheep in this world, kid. Wolves and sheep. Figure out which one you're gonna be.
It's clear that early on, Jimmy decided to be a wolf.
Okay, all right, well, let me try it again. Oh! Yeah!
It's clear that early on, Jimmy decided to be.
It's all good, man.
There's also the connotation associated with being a lone wolf that can be seen in flash forwards, but we can talk about that later. The point is that even as a child, Saul was Saul. And it was his view of his father, a view of weakness, that really enforced that. Seeing his dad getting ripped off due to his amicable, giving nature struck a very important chord with young Jimmy. One that told him that being a sheep equals weakness. So how does this series work with an unchanging character? A character that no matter how hard he might try to stay on that straight and narrow, and no matter how many opportunities he is given,
I'm gonna have to take myself out of the running. Thanks.
he will always find himself back on his old ways. How and why does this series feel so dynamic? Well, the answer could not be given in better words than by our good friend Matthew McConaughey.
Revolutions. You follow?
Revolutions.
Keep the clients on the Ferris Wheel. And it goes. The park is open 24/7, 365. Every decade, every goddamn century. That's it. Name of the game.
We see Saul go up and down in this Ferris wheel, and he can't get enough of it. Sometimes he's good, and he's got his Jimmy mask on, and he's at the top of the Ferris wheel, and things are looking good, and he's doing great with Kim, and then boom! He hits rock bottom, and for a second, we kind of hate him. But mostly, we just feel sad for him, because we see that when he is at rock bottom, he's really himself. He shines in the bottom. But then he apologizes, and he works his magic, and up he goes again.
Okay, Kim, I'm sorry. All right? It will never happen again.
That's a lie.
He gets back up and he puts on his Jimmy mask, and he gives us hope. He keeps us hoping that one of these days he'll stay on top of that Ferris wheel and he'll just finally figure it out. He lies to us, the audience, just like he lies to the people he loves, and we fall for it every time right along with them.
And it is not just this, it's the same thing over and over again.
Revolutions, that's all it is. Up and down and up and down. There's this Greek myth about this cunning king named Sisyphus, punished by Hades and doomed to roll a stone up a hill only to have it roll right back down as soon as he had reached the top, for all eternity. This is Jimmy. Influenced by his love of Kim and the longing for his brother's approval, he rolls the stone up the hill. He wants to be good, for Kim, for Chuck, for himself, to prove that he is no lost soul, that he can do this. But time after time, he lets them down. And time after time, he apologizes and he says he's done, that he will change and leave his Slippin Jimmy ways behind. And he does, for a while. He gets to the top of the hill, but something's not right. It's not in his nature. He can't help himself. His stone is bound to roll down again, and again, and again. Doomed to always end back at the bottom.
I'm not good at building shit. I'm excellent at tearing it down.
And all of this is just torture for the viewer. I love Jimmy and his character, but it's just so painful to see him get stuck in these situations, these cycles that never seem to end. Cycles that Gilligan is not shy to visually represent. He explicitly tells us that this is a driving force of the series, the fuel that ignites the fire of his entertainment, when he throws in all of this cyclical imagery. Almost like Kim Wexler moving up and down the post of HHM, Saul Goodman moves up and down the hierarchies of what's right and wrong. The problem is, it's not all black and white. His moral compass is his own, and like everyone else's, it's not perfect. But at least it's there. That's the reason we as an audience love his character, and we keep rooting for him to come out the other side. We see that he still has a moral compass, and that regardless of how misguided it is due to his traumas of his past, he has it. He is not evil for evil's sake, and part of the problem is that he knows it, and he uses it as an excuse to bend the law or flat out break it, as long as he is within his own moral grounds.
Start the dolly. Action.
Most of the times we see Jimmy break the law or bend the rules is actually to help others. We see this when he tampers with some of the Mesa Verde files in order for them to go with Kim and not HHM. We see this when he writes 1,000 letters from fake people in order to get Huel from going to prison. We see this when he plants false evidence in order to help Kim keep Mr. Acker and his property. But we also see him go behind Kim's back in order to one-up Kevin. We see him chuck bowling balls at Howard because of his resentment towards him. And we see that for him, the law doesn't determine right and wrong. He does. The problem is that he's really bad at it.
Slippin Jimmy with a law degree is like a chimp with a machine gun.
And the other problem is that he loves it. He loves the high he gets from doing what he's not supposed to. He's just like a kid in that way. A kid who never grew up and loves to be rebellious and throw beer off the balcony with his friends, and then runs inside to avoid taking responsibility, with Kim having to pick up the mess. Which, to be fair, she was a part of. Kids, however, they grow up. And this is real life. There is no eternity in which Jimmy can roll up the stone. Things must end. Cycles must be broken. And as for this guy, he's got to decide who he's going to be, Jimmy or Saul. Now I know, that's not super fair. We know the future, and we know that he'll continue being known as Saul. And not only that, but he'll upgrade and, become
a criminal lawyer.
But we also know that that's not where his story will end. In the flash forwards, we get to see him take up a new identity of Gene Takovic, managing a Cinnabon, which, by the way, come on, Gilligan, stop it with all the circular imagery. We get it. You don't have to spell it out for us, jeez. In Omaha, Nebraska. Yes, guys, Nebraska. Now, there's a very important detail that I will come back to in just a second, but first, we have to think about what happened to Kim. Kim is stuck in a cycle right there along with Jimmy, and her story and her character are just as complex, but I'll leave them for another video. Going back to Jimmy, however, we know that for him to truly become Saul, he needs to be free of his conscience. He needs to be free of the part of his conscience that holds him back. He needs to be free of Kim. And we also know that eventually he does become free of Kim. Obviously, we don't see her in Breaking Bad, and this can mean one of three things. 1, she dies. 2, she leaves Jimmy. Or 3, Jimmy leaves her. And I think I'm leaning more towards the third one. For Jimmy to truly become the Saul that we saw in Breaking Bad, he needs to let her go, to rid himself of that part of him. Now, obviously, I don't want either of those three to happen, especially not the first one, but one of them is pretty much guaranteed. And throughout the show, I've considered all three of these possibilities time and time again, and I was never sure about what direction the story would go. I was never really sure until Season 5, Episode 6. We see a flashback, Kim and her alcoholic mother. In this scene, Kim's inability to leave Saul and do better, as her boss Kevin told her, suddenly makes sense. Jimmy has virtually taken over the place of Kim's mother. He's the new family member that she constantly cleans up after. This can rule out the second possibility of her dumping Jimmy because we know that she grows up used to a very unhealthy and emotionally unstable relationship, and that makes sense. But then I saw it. A small and very easy to miss detail. A seemingly irrelevant thing that shouldn't be surprising coming from Vince Gilligan. But it still is. The license plate. What does it say? Nebraska. Oh, and where does Gene Takovic work? Nebraska. I told you, I've done it. I'm so sure of this. They're going to meet up in the future. That's where Kim grew up, so it could be likely that their breakup was bad enough for her to move back to her home state. So I guess spoilers if I'm right, but honestly, I have no idea what I'm talking about. But honestly, I'm super sure. Guys, thank y'all so much for watching this video. Like I said, Better Call Saul is just on a whole different level. I could talk about it all day, but not alone. For this video and hopefully many future videos, I decided to partner up with one of my best friends, Javier. He helped me write this analysis, and I look forward to working with him more in the future. So he's going to be helping me write and analyze some of these TV shows right alongside me. Hopefully he will be in some of these videos as well, and we can have like an interaction and a discussion talking about movies we like or TV shows that we really want to talk about. So look forward to that. Also, he's the guy that directed the 2 short films I helped make. So if you want to check those out, the link is down in the description. Go check them out. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's more of an analysis and a review, but I think I'm going to start moving towards these type of video essays as well as my reviews and monthly journals. If you did enjoy this video, guys, please make sure to subscribe, check out my latest videos, and as always, drop a like and drop in later.